Hello, welcome back to Table Talks, my series where I finish up the brunches that I host and right away, table still uncleared, sit down, talk to you, share with you about how it went. The theme of today was new chapters. I always just think about what theme is relevant in my life right now. What do I want to talk about? As you can see, wait, I forgot to mention, we're in a very new location. It is so beautiful. I can't believe that this is where I get to host the brunches for now. So clearly, you can visually very easily see this is a very new chapter for me. I'm in Portugal for a couple of months. And so there's a lot of change happening in my life right now. I feel like it's been that way for a long, long time. Like when I had to, when it was my turn to speak with the woman and talk about the new chapters, I was like, where do I even begin? Because as far back as I can remember, there is so often a new chapter. Like, things are always changing for me. I don't lead a very stable life. I moved to the Netherlands when I was 18 for university, and I lived in one city for a year, then another city, then it was COVID, and I moved into my boyfriend's family house with his parents for a couple of months, my ex. And then I moved to Paris for a bit, and then Amsterdam, and then I went to Houston for an internship, and then I went traveling. Like, I feel like there's little stability in my life, so it kind of always feels like a new chapter. But when I think of new chapter, what like comes to mind the fastest is the new chapter since graduating from university 2 years ago, because obviously that's a huge transition period in everyone's life. That like transition to having to pay your own bills and like having to get a job. It's a huge time in life. And I haven't followed a traditional path. I didn't like get a 9 to 5. So it still feels like I'm in that new chapter phase because I still haven't really like figured something out. I'm not like stable in one job. I graduated 2 years ago. I went traveling for like 6 months. I went back to Amsterdam, was kind of like doing small jobs, found a 9 to 5 because I still thought that might be my path. Quit the 9 to 5 a month later. Have been like freelancing, started my ring business, have started hosting events, have been doing social media. Like I've kind of, there's been a lot of phases and I'm very much still trying to figure things out, and it still feels very like beginning. It still feels very much like the beginning. Like nothing is really settled yet. But if I look back to a year ago, a lot has like changed and there has been a lot of progress. So I feel like if I compare it to last year, then I do see the growth and I do feel like, okay, like I am like turning the pages. I'm not at the beginning of the chapter, but it still just feels like very beginner, early chapter vibes. And now, like, I lost my apartment. I had to leave Amsterdam for a little bit. I'm in Portugal for a little bit. New chapter. When I move back to Amsterdam, the plan is to move in with my boyfriend, find a place together. Very big, like, new love life chapter. So just a lot of change for a long time now. It's been a lot of change, and especially in the past month, I feel like there was this like extra page turner start of a new chapter, which was like having to move out, thinking about moving in with my boyfriend. So this theme was really great. It was a very kind of just reflectionary brunch, really just like getting to talk about what's going on in our lives and like the new things that are happening. This was the smallest brunch that I've had so far. Normally it's been 5 women. Every other brunch I've done has been 5 women, and this was just 3 of us, because it was like very spontaneous. Like 3 days ago, I was going to cancel the brunch. And then I got one more application to join, and I was like, okay, you know what? I'm going to do it. So it was very spontaneous. And it was the first brunch in Lisbon, the smallest brunch I've had so far, and the like oldest crowd. I feel like normally the group ranges from like 22 to like 32. And now it was me, 24 years old, with a 31 and a 34-year-old. So I thought it was really interesting and beautiful because in many ways we are in such different phases of life, but in many ways there was a lot connecting us, and like in many ways a lot of what we're going through is the same, which I guess also has to do with like being kind of like an expat in Lisbon. I wouldn't consider myself an expat in Lisbon because I'm here temporarily, But like that vibe of moving to a new city and having to like find your community, like we're all going through that. So it was really cool that we could be at different phases in life and still have this like very common ground of like the biggest priority of this next chapter being like finding community. And they were so sweet. I feel like the vibe was really peaceful and like just kind of grounded and sweet. And I got a gift. This is called Palo Santo. I don't know how you call it in English. Maybe the same. But this is so sweet to like kind of cleanse. It was also the first brunch that I baked myself, and I didn't order the food. I like prepared everything myself. Wow, I just realized this brunch was so fitting for new chapters, because not only is like this a new chapter of my life, but like this brunch was so new place, new group size, new like way of providing the food. Like I cooked everything. Interesting. That's so fitting. We talked about how life always has ups and downs, how there's always pros and cons in every era of life. And I feel like that's something that I don't want to say struggling with, because that's not exactly the word, but more like a focus that I feel like I need to have right now is trying to enjoy this era of life more, because I feel like there's a lot of difficulties, the main one being not having financial stability and like trying to work on all these projects, but like also struggling to live, like have an income and like provide for myself. And I feel like in general that's kind of the common downside of this era of life, like just being a young person in your 20s. It's a time of financial difficulties in general. But the pros are like you're at this place in life where there is so much like opportunity, and I feel like in many years I'll look back and I'll be like, wow, like when I was in my early 20s and I got to live in Lisbon for a bit, and like I was still at the beginning of my journey and I was like trying to achieve all these things, and I feel like I will look back and be like, wow, that was such a beautiful time in life. But like being in the middle of it, I can't help but focus on how difficult it is, and like how I just have no idea like what is my path, like what am I supposed to do. I feel like everything that I'm working on, I'm kind of like messily like trying to figure out where I need to go, but like I don't have a clear path. Like direction. Like I'm kind of like trying to figure things out, which I feel like there's beauty in that, but it feels really difficult. And so I feel like what I want to work on right now is like focusing on the beauty of this moment, because there's beauty in every moment and there's difficulty in every moment. But like if I'm only focusing on the negative now, and then in many years I look back and I focus on the beauty, like then I missed out on actually enjoying the good parts while I'm in it, you know what I mean? So that's what I need to work on now, is like just try to be really present and like grateful and happy about what I have now. As always, I had some questions. We actually didn't get around to them in the brunch, which happens a lot. But I always like to have them in case. But I'm just going to answer this one, which I really like. What is one piece of advice you'd give to someone that's afraid to start a new chapter? I feel like I know exactly what to say, but I'm not exactly sure how I want to word it. I feel like my advice would be to like figure out what feels right to you, and like trust yourself and trust your timing and trust that like everything is gonna happen as it's supposed to. And so if it feels right to you to start a new chapter and it feels like, oh, that's what I need to do, but it feels difficult, like go for it, because when you close the last chapter, that's when you're making room in your life for the new and like what is meant to come for you. You know what I mean? So I think if you feel this pull towards something, like go for it and trust yourself. And even though it can be really hard to close the old chapter, that's the only way to go forward. Do you know what I mean? I feel like everything I said just sounds so cliche. And I don't know how to word it well without it just sounding like mumbo jumbo cliche little wisdom, but I honestly feel like that's how it is. It is kind of cliche. I don't know, I feel like my words are not flowing right now, and I'm feeling kind of emotional. Why? Let's think about this. I feel like that made me feel emotional because I feel like that's the advice I need to take, is like really leaning into just like trusting myself and trusting the direction I'm going in, because I do trust it. There's like this like feeling in me that like that I'm going down the right path and these are the steps I need to take. Like I do feel that. But then when like the money is low and like when I hear judgmental words from people doing something more traditional, I feel like in those moments I'm like, oh, I just want to get a normal job and stop struggling with money, and like who cares about these like projects I'm doing, like whatever. But like I care, and I feel that it's the right path for me, and I feel like I'm working towards something really exciting and big and like that's like meant to be for me. And so I feel like that's the advice I need, is like stop doubting. This is totally the path you're meant to be on. Keep going. You got this. You know what? I just really feel like walking around right now, and I'm super lucky that I have this big space to walk around and move my body, and I don't actually need to just stay sitting at the table while I film this video. We're exploring a new situation with this video. We have a whole new setting. I get to walk around. This is really fucking awesome. I love this, actually. This is incredible. I really miss my boyfriend right now, though. Like, I feel like walking around this big house right now, it's so beautiful. I'm really lucky to be here, and at the same time, it makes me feel a bit lonely because I'm like, there's no one here in this beautiful space, and I have like this beautiful backyard to move around in and this beautiful home that I'm looking at, but like, I'm alone. I want to share it with someone, and like, I want to share it with my boyfriend or friends. It was really beautiful to be able to have this brunch. I feel so lucky. I feel so lucky that I'm like building this platform for myself and this like movement of these themed brunches, because how incredible that I just moved here, I think like 2 weeks ago, and I'm already able to invite strangers, women I've never met before, into my home, cook for them, have these like beautiful, nurturing, deep conversations and like moment of connection. Oh, it's so special. It is so special. I can't wait for the next one. I feel like I wasn't getting any applications for the brunch, so I thought to myself like, I honestly probably just won't do this in Lisbon. Like the brunches will probably have to be put on pause until I go back to Amsterdam, because it just feels like there would be a lot more marketing that needs to be done in Lisbon versus Amsterdam. There's a lot more women that are already like looking for these brunches. But I realized this was a holiday weekend. Friday was a holiday, and so a lot of people went on vacation. So I don't know, I'm feeling a bit more positive about it. I'm gonna plan a couple more for the end of November, and hopefully then I'll get to welcome more women in. And until then, I think I'm really excited to keep practicing cooking. It was really cool to be able to like bake my own sweet treats this time, but I feel like with all of these brunches, I'm starting to get tired of all this sweet food. I'm really craving like having savory food at the brunches. So now I'm like, that might be my next challenge, like coming up with a savory menu that I can prepare and feel comfortable with. The issue with savory food that makes me nervous is like having to keep the food warm. Like, how do you even do that? I have no idea. I like barely know how to cook. I'm not a good cook. And then hosting strangers in my home to like cook for them, like that makes me nervous. But I'm excited because I love I already have some ideas of what I would want to cook. I've been super into like tapioca breads, like kind of pão de queijo vibes, but not at all like but like a similar bready vibe. I've been super into them lately, so I feel like that would be delicious. Okay, I'm really excited. That's the next challenge. That's the next little page in the chapter of the brunches, I think, is preparing my own savory food. I don't know, but I feel like this vibe of just like walking around and chatting, it's very fitting. It's very fitting for the theme of new chapters, new things are happening. It's a time of like ponderment. I have to wrap this up very soon. I have to clear the table, clean the dishes. I maybe wanted to try to go surfing. I think that would be really, really cool. Ugh, I'm sad though. I'm just a little lonely. I have like a very good friend that lives here, and this coming week she has exams. So she's been like super busy studying, and the next, like this week, the next few days, she actually has the exams. And then I leave back to Amsterdam. So I'm like, I have like one more week here, and who do I hang out with? But I love surfing because I feel like I have certain things that make me feel like comfortable being alone, which is like going to my dance class and like doing my work and going to my like gym class. And surfing is one of those things. Like I'm like, okay, let me just go like enjoy myself at the beach, get in the water. Like I don't need anyone for that, and it makes me feel super good. So I feel like that really helps, and that's like a little switch I had because I don't love the waves here next to Lisbon. So I haven't been a huge fan of like surfing in this area, but I had a little switch where I'm like, I just need to like do this activity that's fun for me, get in the water. If I don't catch any waves, oh well, like I'm getting in the water, I'm moving my body, I'm being active, I'm working on my paddle muscles. So I'm just going to start doing it more, just getting out there. Anyways, I've been rambling, and has nothing to do with the brunch at this point, but it does because to me, this Table Talks, this series is really just a podcast style vibe where I get to, after the brunch, just talk about kind of whatever is on my mind, which obviously is like brunch related and theme related, but I also really just want to chat. Just want to chit chat, share what's on my mind, very casual setting. I wonder how this is going to look on the video. I feel like it's going to be really funny. I'm just like going in circles. Anyways, I think we're done. I think I gotta move on. Gotta wrap this video up. Thank you so much for watching. I think when this video comes out, I'll be back in Amsterdam for a couple of days. So I'll see you then. I love you. Thank you for watching. Bye.